All right, welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and also for real estate agents. My name is, as always, is DJ Paris. One of these days, maybe I'll change my name, but for now, it's DJ Paris. I am your guide and host through the show, and today, once again, is our monthly series, Learn with a Lender, with our favorite lender, Joel Schaub from Guaranteed Rate. Now, Joel is the Vice President of Lending at Guaranteed Rate. He's been doing loans at a high level since 2003 and has got to that level because of what he does specifically for agents, which is he gives back part of his commission to the buyer on every transaction. Now, last year alone, Joel gave back over $291,000 in closing costs to buyers who worked with him and his team. Now, this puts Joel's volume in the top 0.1% of all lenders nationwide. In fact, out of 400,000 loan officers in the country, Joel is currently ranked number 137. Last year, he did 535 closed transactions, his highest amount ever for 1 year, and that was for 195 million. Already this year in 2021, and it is February 11th, so we've only had a month and 11 days in the year. Joel has already closed 76 transactions for $27 million. He is on pace to make this year his biggest year ever after already eclipsing his previous best last year. Now, if you're looking for a loan officer, we cannot more highly recommend Joel. He's the very best we've ever worked with. Joel can be reached at joel@rate.com, or you can shoot him a text message or call him at 773-654-2049. He's actually doing my loan right now, so I'm as big a fan as anyone. I put my money where my mouth is, and let's say hello to the biggest Cubs fan we all know, Joel Schaub.
Hey, DJ, thanks for having me on. This is the perfect time to describe the fact that you're going to be delayed. It's going to take months for you to close. Did I tell you that live on the show? No. You're approved. You're good. You know your stuff cold. You're getting a cool place, man. We're excited for you.
Well,
and you were talking earlier about getting up early and going to the gym, and that's really one of the big things here is just consistency, right? You say all the numbers, but you've interviewed so many top level producers, and that one key theme and the common thread is they're consistent. All right. And you see that. So the idea here is, like, if you're doing social media posts as a realtor, you can't just do one or do it every once in a while. You need to stay consistent. Okay. If you're making your phone calls, whether that's prospecting or past client phone calls, what do you need to do? Stay consistent, right? And following up on leads. We're never going to just work our warm sphere. You got to be able to find ways to get to that next level, and that is not just cold calling, but working people outside of your warm influence. So staying consistent and doing follow-ups. So like you said, in the first 70 some days of this year, we're going to be at a new level as far as the number of closings. And it's just consistency, and you see that at a high level.
I had this goes back a couple of years. I interviewed one of the top realtors in Chicago, and I asked her very specifically what now. And when I say top realtors, in like the top 10 out of 40 some thousand realtors here in the Chicagoland area, and I said, "Oh, I couldn't wait because I figured she was going to have this really important and unique skill that maybe other realtors didn't have." And I said, "What is it that puts you at the top and so many other realtors are struggling? What is your differentiator?" And she said, I'm a little embarrassed to admit this because it's going to sound so dumb, but she goes, "I call every single one of my clients every single week and just let them know how things are going." And I said, and she goes, "That's pretty much it." and I said, "Really?" And she goes, "DJ, you would be shocked at it's always the small things, and being consistent with the small things makes the big things happen."
It's exactly right. You know how these agents, whether you're doing 3 transactions a month or 30 transactions, you say, "I'm busy." And we're all busy. But you find out what the things are that can take you to that next level, and it's staying consistent, and that's what makes it happen. You can be busy doing 3 transactions a month, and you can be busy doing 30 transactions. It's about what you put your time into and finding those things that you're good at and then delegating everything else. I didn't get to that level by doing every single thing. I found the things that I could pay somebody for that worked directly for me at that $30 to $40 an hour so that we can go out and make hundreds of dollars per hour. So if
Yeah.
you're an agent and you're saying, well, I don't want to make those follow-up phone calls, you need to, and then you need to be able to delegate for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things too that we're so lucky in 2021 and in the last handful of years to now we have access through through just different global connections to be able to even hire people from all over the world who are dying to have these kind of jobs. So I encourage everyone listening to, as Joel said, think about tasks that you don't really enjoy doing or that are really time intensive but need to get done, such as making sure that your CRM has everyone's birthday in it and that you have everyone's birthday on your calendar so you can call people up and say, hey, happy birthday, or happy home anniversary, or whatever. And if you say, yeah, I really should be doing that, you can pay people to do that. It's not as expensive as you might think, and it's going to skyrocket your business. It's worth the investment.
That's exactly key. Agents from this podcast do call, and I encourage you to. I do pick up the phone. I will make follow up, and I will spend time with you to see what we can do to help improve your business. And they say, how could you possibly do 50 transactions a month? I mean, there's not even 25 business days in a month, right? So that means every single day you have at least 2 clients physically closing. What's the secret? And it's just years of doing it. So it's consistency. So what you need to do if you're an agent that wants to go to the next level is have an intake system, right? So that you can follow up, and you need to educate and provide value. Okay. Otherwise, it's just a race to the bottom and who's the cheapest. And
That's
that's
right.
not what anybody's working for. You're working and you are a professional. You want to share your knowledge, and you want to make sure the people that are just looking for the most cheap option go somewhere else, honestly,
Yeah,
right?
and we can really let the tech companies fight it out for those options, for the cheap options, and that's okay, and they have their place. But that's not the space that you're playing in. The listeners of our podcast, you're not really in competition with some of these tech disruptors. You're a different level of service.
And that's what you want. So you're going to provide education, and you're going to give insight and value. And then people that really want that, it's kind of like the saying, do you want the cheapest surgery, right? It always blows
Right.
my mind when somebody's buying a $900,000 home and they're looking for the cheapest mortgage, which I understand and I can appreciate. We want the lowest rates, we
Yeah.
want the lowest cost, but there's a difference between finding the cheapest and finding somebody that can competently do it correctly for you. I'm never looking for that discount laser eye surgery, right? When you go for LASIK.
I remember when I got my laser surgery, which was like 15 years ago, and I remember seeing those. There were people that would do it. Well, back then I think it was $4,000 or $5,000, and that was a reasonable price at the
Mhm.
time. Now I think it's probably a lot cheaper. But there were people back then doing it for $500 an eye, and I went, I think even though I'd love to only spend
Yeah.
$1,000 total, I don't want to be blind the rest of my life. So
So that's it, right? So now what we're doing is we're going back to being consistent, being the person that they go to so that they refer more business. Because it's not all about rates, okay?
right,
This would not be a Keeping It Real podcast without us talking about interest rates and the
let's do it.
market and having some education about what's going on and what we can expect and how we can use these low rates that you hear about in the news to get buyers off the fence.
Yeah,
And for the last few months, we haven't needed any help getting buyers off the fence. The fence is like way in the background. They're running, right? The buyers are looking for properties. Okay. So if you're an agent and you want to convince and help and get somebody to understand the benefits of home ownership in terms of being rates at all-time lows, stop talking about the actual rate and put it in terms of monthly payment. Okay. So I want to do a little breakdown here. I want to talk about what we saw 2 years ago and what we'll probably see 2 years from now. So if you're an agent on the call, you remember 2019.
sure,
Rates were good. On average for the entire year, they were around 4.5 to 4.75.
pretty
They had
good.
come down for the years. That was really, really good. So that
Yeah,
means a $400,000 loan was 21.16 a month. Okay. That's good. And that's
yeah,
what the average was. And that's just 2 years ago. Now rates are in the twos. That same $400,000 loan comes out to 1632.
Amazing.
It's $483 less today than it was then for the exact same home.
Incredible.
Okay. So now we can use that, DJ, and we can use that knowledge and not just say rates are low, why don't you buy? The client never writes the rate on the check each month. They write a payment. Okay. And did
Right.
I just date myself a little bit by saying write on a check? Does anyone
Well,
do
no,
that anymore?
you're so right though, because at the last place I owned, where I ended up refinancing over 10 years, maybe
Mhm,
three different times, and I never knew the rate I was at. I knew the
mhm.
amount I was paying every month, but if you were to say what your rate is, I would go, I'd have to look that up. So the rate, you're right, the rate really doesn't matter. It's just a metric people use because they want the lowest, just like we want the lowest price on everything. But at the end of the day, what's most important is that number you're cutting on the check every month.
$483 less. So agents, how can we use this right now? How can we get one more deal or one more transaction based on listening to this today, which is you can literally help people understand that there's an opportunity before rates do go up.
Yeah.
Okay. We won't see these rates for long. And it's just like gas prices. When they go up, they shoot up.
Yeah.
Okay. So that means this exact same mortgage sometime in the near future is going to be hundreds of dollars more than you can get in now. And we need to be able to explain that calmly and educate the borrowers that rates won't be like this forever. Okay. The good news is that rates should be this way for most of the entire year and into next year, but you just don't know when they will go up.
Yeah.
So $483 per month less on a $400,000 loan is big. Okay.
Huge.
The second way, if you're an agent and you're listening to this right now, that you can get another transaction would be the exact same payment would be able to buy them somewhere in that $50,000 or $60,000 more per purchase price, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to stay at the exact same payment, you can literally buy a home that's $50,000 or $60,000 more today and have the same payment as you would have with the higher rates. It might help you get a buyer in a little bit higher of a price point if they can't find the homes that they want when they were looking before.
Yeah, that's really smart. I mean, it's an opportunity to call really everybody. So even if it's a seller, or rather just a homeowner, you could call and say, "Hey, are you looking to upsize this year? Are you looking to get bigger space right now? We're going to be able to do that, with the numbers that you just suggested. And also, if you're a renter, boy, let's look at that monthly rent. Let's talk about making that first purchase. And if you're already a buyer, boy, now you can buy more than you could before."
Even if you don't have a big down payment right now, think of this. So on that $400,000 property, a lot of buyers right now are the bank will lend you 95% at a really good rate.
Hmm.
Okay. So you don't need to have $80,000 saved to get that $400,000 property. You could literally come in with $20,000 down. And because all of the mortgage insurance rates have just plummeted, okay, it isn't that big red flag that I don't have 20% down. It's literally, it used to be a $400,000 home would have $300 or $400 a month of insurance if you didn't have
Yep.
20% down. Most of the insurance now could be under $100. So it's not a big red flag, and you need to be able to partner with a mortgage professional that's local, that cares about you as an agent, that can educate the buyers on this, because there's such a stigma with low down payment, right? And you see that a lot.
Yep, absolutely. The first condo I purchased, I didn't have 20%. This goes back a long, long ways, but I had 10. And so I did have PMI, and it was not $100 a month at the time. And I remember being like, oh, I wish I could. And eventually I got rid of it. But now, boy, I mean, I would, it's just not a big deal right now. You can put so little down. So huge opportunity there.
I want to reiterate to agents that the mortgage insurance rates have come down drastically on a lot of the mortgage products. So when somebody says, oh, I know I can do low down payment, but I know about the mortgage insurance, have them do a double check, right?
Yeah.
Actually get it quoted out, because sometimes the websites that are just doing these estimates are woefully higher than what you could actually get in the real world if you have good credit and income. Okay. It's not uncommon at all to borrow $400,000 or $500,000 and have the mortgage insurance be less than the homeowner's insurance.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What a wonderful time. I mean, a very strange time, of course, for the whole globe. But at least with respect to where we are with lending, boy, what a fortunate time we're in right now.
So take this as an education moment and take this back to buyers that are sitting there thinking to buy in the spring market, and just use this piece of advice. If we buy now, even with a low down payment and rates that are under 3% that you get to lock in and keep, the mortgage insurance will eventually fall off. And if they wait to save to get to $80,000 of a down payment,
Yeah,
and they take a rate that goes back up into the fours, that is $100,000 or $200,000 of interest that they would pay more at
right.
the higher rate, even with the lower loan amount. So it's one of those things where you just need to be educating your people, and that will then turn into more deals for yourself.
Really well said. Now, we are coming up on Valentine's Day, and so we should be talking. I know we're always thinking about gifts for our
Yep.
primary relationship partner, our spouse or our partner, our significant other, but we don't talk a lot about client gifts with respect to this time of the year. But I know you wanted to share some information about giving.
No, I didn't. It's not Valentine's Day yet, is it? I thought it
It's
was at least
not.
a month away. Oh my gosh, my wife is going to kill me. I'm kidding. Valentine's Day is coming up, and if you recall what I talked about in December, I made a very controversial statement right on your show. And I
Yep.
said, this year, don't send out Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
Don't send out New Year's gifts. It gets
Be
lost in
unique.
the shuffle.
Yeah.
Be unique. Pick the dates where there's not other people fighting for your attention, right?
Yes.
So years ago, I made a major change and I stopped doing Christmas gifts, Hanukkah gifts, New Year's Eve, those types of things. And I picked off dates. Okay. So Valentine's Day is coming up and we're doing Galentine's Day. We're taking all of our ladies and our referral partners and boss babes and folks that are in the community that are women, and we're giving them a Galentine's Day gift. Okay. And you can pick 5 or 10 people that are really important to you and go out and do the exact same thing. Sometimes I get in trouble because my gifts are so good. The husbands are like, man, you overshadowed me again. So be careful on how good of a gift that you're giving. But we're doing some really cool things for Valentine's Day this year. And I encourage you guys to do so. It's not too late. And even by the time that you listen to this, there's other holidays coming up, like St. Patrick's Day, which is something that
Hmm.
you can say,
That's
you
a
know,
fun one.
we're lucky for clients like you. I'm so happy to have helped you in the past. And, don't trust luck to any just agent. Use me. So there's ways that you can provide fun, unique gifts on those off days. And you don't need to spend thousands of dollars. You can do something unique, fun, and small, and just do the marketing pieces that people say, wow, that was cool.
Yeah, I agree. And also, Valentine's Day is a good opportunity because, if we think a certain percentage of the people in our sphere of influence are single. And this is
Mhm.
also an opportunity to make them feel a bit special. Now that, of course, you can, that doesn't have to be the motivation. But there are, Joel's so right. We think about, the holidays and we do get a lot of cards, gifts. Joel's right. So many different service providers are vying for our attention and things get lost. We have family responsibilities and friend responsibilities, and of course all the service providers are sending all these notes. But how many of those are we getting on St. Patrick's Day, as Joel suggested? Very little, probably none. And so what a great opportunity to do something and be really remembered by your
Yeah.
clients. So yeah, do gifts on off days, off holidays, and it's, boy, your clients, you'll get a much better reception rate. People will be reaching out, going, "Wow, thanks so much." They're not expecting it. Then they're likely to expect something around the holidays, but not outside of that. So
It helps you stand out and it makes you stay consistent. And that's back to what you do so well, is that this show is successful because it is consistent and you get
yeah.
so many great people on here. And even if you just went to the gym, you're doing it. You never skip. You're always on it, man. I'm proud of you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate. I'm proud of you for all the success you guys have had as well. You've got an amazing team. I'm working with them directly, and I wish this was a paid commercial because I'd love to get paid. But the truth is, I'm just telling the truth that this is absolutely the best lending experience I've ever had, and it is not my first lending experience, but it is my first lending experience with Joel and his team. And boy, they have helped reduce my anxiety throughout this entire process, and that's really what you want in a partner. So if you're an agent out there that's looking to partner with a great lender, or if you're a buyer or somebody who's looking to work with a lender directly, Joel's the right guy. What's the best way, Joel, that anyone out there who's listening can reach out to you to learn more about partnership opportunities or just what Guaranteed Rate offers?
Joel at rate.com. It's the easiest, shortest email for that many years. We were able to get it shortened down. So that's the short version of joel.schaub at guaranteedrate.com. It's very easy to remember. Just shoot me an email and actually test me. I will reply personally, and I can even set up a phone call if you want 10 minutes and you say, how did you get to this level? Or what did you do here? I've been doing a lot of those type of follow-up phone calls. I actually have 2 scheduled from people that saw me on this after today's show. So
Wonderful.
I'm just happy to give back. And it doesn't mean that you're sending me business at all. It's this coaching and this mentoring and giving back, and it really feels good. So Joel at rate.com. I'm happy to help clients that you have. We are licensed in all 50 states, and there's a lot of opportunities. Just to pick my brain if you want something on the mortgage side, and I'm happy to help for sure.
Fantastic. So everyone listening, reach out to Joel. Shoot him an email, joel@rate.com. Easy to remember, or shoot him a text at his phone number that we mentioned earlier. Joel, thank you once again for our Learn with a Lender series. Joel has been with us almost the very beginning of our show, and we're so grateful that he shows up every month. And again, provides amazing content to our listeners and our viewers. And we always want to say thank you for that. On behalf of Joel and myself, we also, of course, want to thank the listeners and viewers. You're the reason we do this. And if you ever think about how can I help our podcast grow, just tell a friend. Think of one other real estate professional that could benefit from hearing this great conversation we just had with Joel, and send them a link to our podcast. You can send them a link right on our website. Just send them to keepingitrealpod.com. They don't even need to download a podcast app. They can listen right from our website, every episode we've ever done. And if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see all of our Learn with a Lender Joel episodes are in its own category. So you can actually, if you just want to listen to all the Joel episodes, you can do that right there as well. So Joel, thanks once again, and we will see everyone on the next episode.
It was great. Thank you again for having me. We'll talk soon. Thank you.